naughty of us. So yes, right, we are now live. We've just done some green room chat with Chris O'Hara at BentBox Comics. But before we get into it with Chris O'Hara, we need to do a bit of this. Crikey, we're just enjoying that intro too much. We never get old with that intro. Every time it gets us, it's part Hitchcock, and it's part Planet of the Apes, some kind of mashup, you know, with that kind of melodramatic, big screen movie kind of noir feel, you know, that early 70s as well, where everything was dramatic and time machine, folks, time machine. Tell you what, we've been looking forward to this. And we have to say, we've done the time, we've done the show trail, we just about pressed the live button to go live. We're so getting into green room chat with Chris O'Hara and cooing about the propaganda edition of Artificial, which they very kindly gifted us. It was a personal honor because we posted that much about this book back at the start of our 5 pillars of storytelling, positive champion of indie comics. About the same time, a Star Million himself of the Orion Saga also did. It was like some kind of trinity of BentBox, Star Million, of the Orion Saga, and well, we wouldn't count ourselves as part of the trinity. We've had other people who've been with us since the beginning. It's a select few, and Chris O'Hara of BentBox Comics. We remember just thinking, this is what indie comics should be. You know, we eulogized about it in glowing terms. You know, so what's all the fuss about, Azrael? Are you going to get into it and let this guy chat? Let's do it. Right then, we always do a prelude before the show starts, and we always do this to support people because, you know, people talk about emotional health, mental health, and stuff like that. We don't view it quite through that lens. That's a billionaire's terms of corralling us into where we should go out and fight and do as we're told and behave ourselves and do things as prescribed. We say there are 8 billion unique, not diverse, but 8 billion unique souls on the planet, and they are beautiful souls. So part of our mission throughout our 50,000 plus posts and now 2,905 followers on the 5 pillars of storytelling is to give one word, grace, which can be split into a gentle word to shine a little love on the people who are putting their passion, their courage and their conviction on the line at the wild frontier of indie comics, working long hours, 10-hour days some artists are working, and we understand that. It is sacred. It is law. Their work schedule. You know, if we were at our drawing board right now, we'd probably maybe answer the postman, maybe not. We'd have to get the big prize that's come through our letterbox, I suppose. But, you know, we knew one artist, Chris. He wouldn't answer the door if he was on a biro line, and he used to draw with biros direct, no pencils, direct with biro, yeah. And I tell you what, he said, I will absolutely ignore the door if anybody's knocking at the door if I'm on my line.
Yeah.
That's how deep this art is. You know, it is, well, it's like life-giving oxygen is what it is. It's the air we breathe as artists, you know, so it is sacrosanct. We will say that. Now, if anybody's wondering why we're wearing our white hat, it's maybe not a favorite color, but we could have gone for the Forest one, but we don't want to upset the Chelsea fans, the Manchester United fans, the Arsenal fans, so we thought we'd wear this battle-proven, needs a wash, Adidas. Shouldn't advertise corporations, should we? And so anyway, we do a prelude as a kind of ode to artists everywhere, creators everywhere in indie comics. So June the 10th, Tuesday, it's never too late. And that can mean a great many things. It's never too late to say sorry. It's never too late to express how you feel about something. It's never too late to go out and help somebody. It's never too late to say a gentle word. It's never too late to have grace. And, you know, if life has its dark tendrils of miasma around you, it's never too late to pick up the sword of light and dispel the shadows of the past, to work with people who do have our best interests at heart. Take us guys. Everyone knows us guys are goofy and clumsy at times, yeah? And we just like puppy dogs. We get very, very enthusiastic at times, especially if it's been a while since we've been amongst friends and that, you know what I mean, and like-minded people. We get enthusiastic, you know? Some people will have a few beers and get slightly tipsy and end up with a posterior gluteus maximus in the air. And other people will just have a giggle and, you know, and then, you know, next day, you might think, oh gosh, what they do, you know, maybe I kept the company too long, you know what I mean? It's, you know, life is full of a kaleidoscope of colours, you know, but we would say 80% of guys are quiet, simple, simple, and occasionally stupid, but they have a big heart and they want people's, the whole society's best interest at heart by way of their purpose, the hands. If they have love, they will celebrate that with all their might, you know, depending on the connection, isn't it? If you've got a powerful connection, you do that. And it's your health as well, yeah? Sometimes we get ill, you know what I mean? But we had a personal situation with a family, 6 days they were in with an infection. We can't say much more about it because it's their personal medical stuff. But it was such a relief when we were there on the handover to go from hospital to a local area where that person could be looked after some more, you know, and just the relief in you after these things can be very existential from almost out of nowhere. You think, well, how have they got that? What's happening? And then because we're mere mortals, you're constantly trying to get information out of medical professionals, and they want, of course, they're tight-lipped because they don't want to get sued. We get it, you know. But I have to say, the Angels of Mercy, looking after this particular family, a member, were absolute gifts from the great cosmos, you know. So while we can't say too much, we would say it's never too late to put our heart first, yeah. Because sometimes our mind will sabotage things, you know. Like if you want to be an artist, the biggest obstacle to Azrael getting to that drawing board, as Brett pointed out, lovely artist, Brett Berkeley, who we got on the psychiatrist couch a couple of weeks ago. If you haven't, he's almost like the soul brother. He's a mental health kind of artist healer, and he wants to create a community for artists to help them recover from the shadows of the past. He actually had it was actually in a car accident, and he got hammered, and his hand was virtually broken, and he needed his wife's help to get back and go through all the rehab and therapy. I mean, he was ready to go with Marvel Comics at one point, and obviously something like that happens. Everything takes you back a step, you know. And basically, what happens there is you don't have to do it alone. You know, if you're struggling in life, you can actually ask somebody to help you. You know what I mean? They can give the respectful healing distance, but let them in, and maybe they can help you. You know what I mean? So I think in terms of having somebody shoulder to shoulder with you, as Brett Barkley has and his wife, it sounds like she's been a foundational keystone for him, and he's just getting back to the point where he can do illustrations and do pinups, and he's now got all the therapeutic art equipment he needs to be comfortable when he draws. So, you know, what we say to people out there is it's never too late, you know, you're not on your own. So then we'll move on. John Starman Orozco. We got to start with this guy, existential titan. John Orozco. He actually takes his name from his is it a Brazilian wife? I think she's South American, Colombian. Yeah. And he spoke very highly of her. And our show went on a little bit. We said, we don't want to keep you from your wife because they'll be able to pay. You know what I mean? You know, so we remember that episode fondly, put it that way. So John, another passionate creator, he has always harbored a love for crafting worlds as a means of escape. His earliest memories involved sharing those imaginative stories with others. Creating stories and worlds isn't just a hobby for John, it's his cherished pastime. Yeah, his inaugural Kickstarter project, Orion, marks the beginning of his indie comics career, the existential noir of Orion Saga. We'd just like to say, Chris O'Hara, you might have, we do have an artist in the chat. You never know, you might want to hire her for a project because she's,
okay.
You should see her. Oh, is it Beyonce? Come and help me out, Bianca. It is Behance. It might be a dog related site, and she's got a portfolio up there, and we've posted.
Behance, yeah. Behance, I actually found I go hunting very regularly for comics or artists, and Behance is one of the ones I use. Instagram, everything. So cool.
Well, Bianca's in the chat tonight. Bianca Yamakoshi. Yamakoshi, got the name right. Basically, we're in the hottest part of the house. So I think it's melted our mouth on our lips. And we've got a fan here. So that's why we're in the beak instead of the beanie tonight, to actually guard us from the sun, that sickly sun, but it's near the between when it starts to set and you start feeling queasy with it. So the beak is actually protecting us from a beating from the sun. It's probably too hot for Britain, but you guys in the States are battle hardened, yeah?
Oh yeah, it's 98 degrees outside right now.
So what we're saying is, if you go to Behance, you'll see what Bianca Yamakoshi is all about. As we call and dubbed her, Bianca Gothic Noir Yamakoshi, yeah? So basically, she does a kind of style that is like a film noir, but with a kind of Tothian woodcut, yeah? Very, very impressive. And so you never know, Bianca Yamakoshi might get some work for hire from the select, let's call them that, select team from BentBox Comics, who specialize probably in somebody like you going into their stable, and maybe that personal project of yours might be just the home for BentBox Comics. We'll have to see. So there you go. We do this on the show. We try and make contacts between people, yeah? A bridge to different people, yeah?
I appreciate it.
No bother. I mean, you might find, oh, we've got some more of this show, and then your stable increases. You are welcome, Bianca Yamakoshi. When we got BentBox on the show planned, we didn't tell anybody because we were thrilled. We never actually say about the guests that are coming up. We like to keep everything exclusively secret. So then when it happens, Bianca Yamakoshi, that even people who like surprises are surprised, you know? So we try to show our altruism and giving and grace by doing this. And we don't talk about things. We like to walk the talk. We like to do action. You know, as guys kind of a rep for doing all the talk. Well, this is us going right here, right to the shoulder, side by side, to help our fellow creative leaders. We don't call them followers at all. We call them creative leaders. So when we say 2,905 followers, we say 2,905 creative leaders, because we don't think of creative people as followers at all. You are absolutely welcome, Bianca. It is our pride and joy to help creative leaders in the show. It is our mandate for the show. So we'll just say thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'll just say you're welcome, Bianca, in the chat. Trying to get our touch typing fingers de-dyslexerized from X. We know what happened to X a few weeks back. It was slow. Everything was slow. Then we picked up this touch typing dyslexia. I thought, where's that come from? So we can blame X and Elon on this one. You know, maybe we've been infected by being on X. We don't know. Maybe been assimilated by the bug, but you don't know, do you?
No.
So you're most welcome, Bianca. We're still getting the hang of hosting a show and multitasking.
Oh, it's not an easy task to do. So Godspeed there, man. I've tried it.
Much. So you're most welcome, Bianca. Fingers crossed. Chris Hall will have a little look, and you never know what might come from opportunities in life. What you've got to do, Chris, you've got to roll the dice. Sometimes it's a D6. Get a bigger dice. Get a D100. And congratulations to Bianca Yamakoshi. She recently passed the 200 mark on X. Yeah, a place where she once wanted to leave. Maybe wasn't so sure it was for her. But we found in our last 2.5 journey, from which Bianca's been one of our creative leaders that has been alongside us for a lot of the time. And basically, we've realized there's thousands of projects, thousands. For the 1,000 we've talked about, or 50,000 posts about, there's another 1,000 that people like K-pop Funky, she finds all the other 1,000 that we are not blissfully, but completely unaware of, you know?
Right.
So K-pop is the queen of indie comic promo, but we try our humble best along with Star Million, the champion. And who's that? Tom Patu. He's the GOAT. I mean, he's huge. 20,000 people alongside him in the battle. Yeah. It's not about following anybody. It's about being side by side. So if you don't know about Tom Patu Comics for Everyone, get your book in his promo. Yeah. But we're quite competitive. We know we punch above our weight when it comes to promo.
No, I do every show I can. I couldn't care less who it is. I just like I'm an extrovert type person. I like talking to people. I like hanging out. I like meeting new people. So yeah, I'm interested in everything, but definitely make sure you send me his profile because I'm curious. Yeah, that doesn't sound familiar, so I don't think I know that one.
We'll also do that in the Green Man, who's also up and coming in terms of promo and comics. We'll send you both. But Tom Platt, Comics for Everyone, might just give your books a little bit of extra push. We know you select and exclusive, but in terms of a humble view, in terms of just slightly below the radar, if we just get you above that kind of that C line, you know.
Okay.
Sea and land of little consequence to Azrael when it comes to promotion. He'll fall time and space for somebody like you, Chris O'Hara, especially after the Rebellion edition. I mean, oh yeah, Propaganda edition, beg your pardon. But let's move on. Synopsis, John Starmillion Orozco. Synopsis, if you had the power to change the world, would you sacrifice yourself to do it? And art is sacrifice. It's creative pain. Dr. Hansen is working on a rare ancient metal found in the blood of Robert. Its properties are vast and relatively unknown, but it is said that Orium can save the world. Join Robert as he struggles to come to terms with his purpose. With a mysterious voice guiding him through, will he free himself from the grasp of Dr. Hansen? Will he join the Doctor and save the world, or leave the world's fate unknown? Each decision comes with its own challenges. Ah, yes, which way? Left, right, or forwards? Hard to say. Can Robert make the hard choices? Does he have the will? And it does come down to will. Always the will. Does he have the will to do what has to be done to win the battle for the greater good? The existential noir of Orium Saga, winner of 5 Pillars of Storing Recognition Awards 2024, by order of magnitude, several awards. It's the one black and white indie comic that had us at hello. You're listening to me now, Jerry. Let's move on. The 5 Pillars of Storytelling Live, Azrael, BentBox Comics, art, comics, movies, games, and toys are what we do. We consider them 5 needles with an eye. Yeah, we want to thread the golden thread of storytelling through art. Gets made into comics. Comics can be made into movies. Film noir, if you're timeless romantics like ourselves. Be nice to watch Casablanca again, The Maltese Falcon, or Angels with Dirty Faces. Oh, just another one, yeah. And movies are now made into games, which are even bigger than the movie industry now, by order of magnitude. That day is long since past. Now, we were the kind of people who play games and leave our friends and family in the social room. Our days of playing computer games in that context are probably a little bit past us, but we don't mind playing the occasional game if it's Resident Evil with a family friend just to join in as part of a gaming party. So, and yes, toys are the other thing as well, aren't they? Because for that 7-year-old in us that never grows up, guys everywhere, Chris O'Hara, come on now, let's put it out there to the ladies.
Oh, yeah.
But we do have that clumsiness of a 7-year-old sometimes, whereby we mean well, but sometimes we get enthusiastic. It's just a guy thing. And then sometimes guys we get overprotective. We don't mean anything. We should be really doing this rather than. It's funny that Brett. We asked Brett about this, and he said his wife occasionally tells him, "It's all right, Brett. I can do it. I've got it. Just leave off. I can do it." And then if she wants him, she'll gently make her way into. It's called freedom of will, isn't it? When you need somebody, you might just go to them and say, "Well, can you help us with this?" Because what's that old phrase? A problem shared is a problem halved. That's just the common sense simplicity of life. That we can use one another to help one another out. God willing. Right then. So yes, toys are the ultimate imagination, because you can have whatever adventure, whatever film budget, without the big comic printing bill or big movie box office bill, and wondering if the money's going to come in from our Captain Kirk went insane and took over the Enterprise movie. Just saying, we don't do politics, sex, or religion on this show. We stay well out of it. So it's the Wednesday, the 18th of June tonight. The book we're focused on is you got to see it. It is a bijou gem, Refuge. And it's 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. It's London. And yeah, it's Great Britain. Or once it was free, once upon a time. Yes, once upon a time, long ago. Right then. Yes, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you're not a follower of the show, it's called a follow on X. You log in, don't you, and you do follows next. But on YouTube, it's called a subscribe. You don't have to pay anything. If you just log in, give us a little follow, that help us to help you shine a little love on your books. This is something we do exclusive. We don't call them followers, but this is something we do for our creative leaders only, because we want to build a loyal, steadfast community whereby we support one another shoulder to shoulder. They don't walk behind us, they walk alongside us in this battle to make our story heard. You know, when you that 1 to 1,000 follower book creative leader area, that's where the greatest inertia is. It feels like Superman lifting a planet. And we've been through that battle for the last 2.5 years. And it's almost Sisyphean. You need other people to put the shoulder to the boulder to get it moving. And if we work together, we can get that boulder moving faster with greater momentum. And we will do everything but sell our soul to the devil to get more followers, to increase that gravimetric shunt to that Sisyphean task. Right then, let us move on. So yes, our American cousins are a little bit behind us on time, but we can, through the circumnavigation of by way of the great ether and the nexus, we can come through portal to render time and space as nothing. So let's move on. Host introduction. Hello there. Don't worry, we're going to do this in a minute and sit on our hands. It's coming. Hello there. Welcome to the 5-Person Storytelling Live, where we took art, comics, movies, games, and toys. Just said it. I'm your host, Azrael, and my secret identity is Kyle Prometheus. No, seriously. Storyteller, artist, promoter of indie creators, 50,000 posts and more, and counting, indie comics, and helping do our bit to help grow the indie comic community. Azrael, you're very chaste tonight. Yes. Well, Existential Matters, our founders, greatly relieved. So we are moderate in our prose tonight. Our style is universal. We can be watched by creative families, creative adults, and the creative younglings. Our motto is to listen, to learn, and share. Inspiring quote is, comics are an international language. They can cross boundaries and generations. Comics are a bridge between all creators. Osamu Tezuka, legend. Right, let's move on. Here we go. We've been looking forward to this. Guest introduction, BentBox Comics, select quality comics. Let's try that again. BentBox select quality comics is what we're talking about here. Prose, refuge at BentBox Comics on X. We've been following this one for a while. Independent comic book creation machine. Yes, no idle boast that. We focus, they say, and we agree before we even read the next bit. We focus on high quality stories for everyone, including artificial, worlds forgotten, refuge, the one we're talking about tonight. Ringless and Blossom. Blossom. Now that was a very favourite name from a very favourite movie of ours. With a Scottish accent, of course. Right. They feature on the website the flagship book, Orium Saga, by indie comics champion, mega Olympian promoter, Master Star Million himself. He and brother Dio of Tumaretni are the yin and yang of indie comics. No small praise there. And if any two will break into our top 5 indie comics, it's going to be, we suspect, them. There's only 2 comics in our indie comics top 5 as of the last 2.5 years. In at number 1, Gary Spencer Millage, millage.com, gotta see it. The GOAT of all time, back when indie comics were actually hard. Strange Haven, a cross between Twin Peaks and The Prisoner from the 60s. We cannot heap enough praise on this guy. If we get our Instagram back, we got nailed by Instagram for being over enthusiastic. 7 bot posts apparently affected community guidelines. We didn't think we were that bad, but hey, we get excited, you know, about not about us. We don't care about us. We don't look in the mirror anymore. But for the people, grace. It's not about us. That's why we say we don't say I. So yes, the other book in our top 5 is in at number 2. It's Black Sun Comics. You can go to the website now, Black Sun Comics, by the very mild-mannered, like all those creators are in the indie comics community. We're mild-mannered, quite shy, with the invisible 80% of the people who don't get the praise for just getting on and being stoic guys, you know, and not complaining. We just quietly get on and we endure. like the stoic people we are. Yeah, glad to see you nodding your head. You and me understand ourselves
Yep.
very clearly on this matter, but we don't get all the bad boy publicity, of course, but the mainstream media, it is what it is, as somebody Scottish once said. So anyway, yeah, and at number 2 is the space futurism, the African futurism of Blackson Comics, the longest night. And it is like a cross between Game of Thrones and Star Wars. We say, get it. It's about $4.50 on Amazon. We've got all 6 issues so far. 7 is imminent relative to the sun. And there were 3 spaces at 3, 4, and 5 are waiting for you, our indie comic creative leaders. Courage, passion, conviction. Let these be your trinity. Let these be your guide, and get your book out there. Are you talking about yourself, Azrael? Possibly one day in the future. Who knows? But first, we have gift to give to all of you guys out there. It's not about us. So, whoa, wait a minute. We didn't finish. Welcome to the show, BentBox Comics.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me. I've been following you for a while. You've been following me for a while. So, and we run in similar circles. So it's cool to finally be able to sit down.
Do you know what? It's been a long time coming, Chris. We've known each other by way of respected distance for a good long while. Relative to the sun, you've been with us since the beginning, and we appreciate that quality thing you got. When you started thinking, right, we've got this book and this book, shall we do more comics or a select amount? We put our voice to your shoulder and say, well, look, do as many as you can while keeping the quality. So it could be maybe 5 to 10 in your stable, but they come out regular. Or you might have some that are spot comics. They're just like the one shots. Others might try and get that ambitious quest to get to double figures, which some indie comics can do or plan to do. We've got lots of people like that on the show. So where are you on that in terms of before we get into it with the big 5 questions of who, what, why, etc.? Are you still wrestling with that? Can we get enough quality people in there and keep like the threshold of quality across the board? Where are you at on that, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, we're acting as a small press publisher. I own the company, BentBox Comics, but I'm also a creator. I've made a bunch of books myself. And that was one of the things that we noticed early on is it's hard to keep that consistency of having, there's no way to compete with the big 2. Like I can't have a comic out every month. It's just not a thing. I'd be lucky if I have one out once a year by myself, as the creator. So we noticed that as probably not necessarily a problem, but just something that maybe could be tweaked or figured out a way to work around that, to where BentBox as a publisher and as a company is consistent as a company. So that's where we brought on a bunch of different creators. I brought on Star Million with Orium. Orium 2 is coming out soon, so we're very excited about that. So it's kind of one of those things where I can have Refuge, hopefully come out pretty soon. Orium would be right after. We have another John Shells coming out with Wingless 2 in August. And so it'll slowly just be, a couple issues a year of your favorite new indies. That way BentBox is consistently producing. So it's just a way. Yeah, it's just a way to kind of mitigate that issue of like, a single creator. It's very difficult to, produce that much that quickly, especially once again, like you said, and keep quality, which we do not mess around with. That was the first thing that I set out to do whenever I started BentBox. I said it needs to be high quality, even to the point where we had one creator. I was asking, he had been doing it for a while. I'm not going to name names, but he even said Artificial, my first book, he made a comment that it was too good for my first comic, and like as a negative, as in like you need to start not as good, and that way you can grow into this good. And I'm like, what if I just started this good and then got better? What about that?
We're right with you there, Chris. We think
that sounds like that sounds like a cooler idea to me. Anyway, that was a stupid comment, and it was annoying. So I just let
was it you leathered him?
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I couldn't care less, to be honest.
No names, no pack drill.
No, but as you mentioned, the bit of stoicism in me, which I'm not sure how much there is, but there's enough to let it roll off my back and not really care about it. And I'm just going to keep on doing high quality books. And that's what I do think BentBox has become. I do think we are one of the top indie small press publishers that are just consistent with quality. And I'm very proud of that. So, we have like 13 books now over our 2-year run of starting. We started about 2 years ago officially, and now we have about 13 titles under our belt, and we're just continuing to grow and grow and grow.
That's a quarterly schedule by another name, isn't it?
Right, which that's the beauty of they're not all my books. That's the beauty of it being, Star Million's coming out with one. Oh, John Shell's coming out with one. Oh, Jeff Morris with True Believer, his is launching. So that allows us to have a global comics footprint that's fairly large, to have a website that has you need the scroll wheel to look through all of our comics. That's pretty cool. And within only a 2-year time period, it's helpful. We've also had a handful of people say this to me, which I'm like, this was kind of a goal from the get-go, was I've had a couple of people read Artificial, and they liked it so much, which is my personal book. They like it so much that they said, I have to buy all the rest. If this is BentBox, like BentBox is this quality and this, this is fun and adventure and it's for everybody, I got to read the rest. And so then we have just full, they would buy the rest of the library just because they read one of our books. And so that's been my goal, is you see a little logo at the top. Same with Star Million. See the little BentBox logo at the top. Yeah. It's going to be quality. It's going to be original. And then that if you see anything else with that logo, you're probably going to want to read that too.
Do you know what? So your elevator pitch retort to the fragile advice that was given to you is, our first Too Good book now sells our other books.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
That's the Keystone book, isn't it? So your philosophy was absolutely proven 100%, 1000%, 1300%, because you got 13 books out, correct?
Yeah.
And so we'd be proud of a business model like that. If we could swipe anybody's motto and quality, it's probably going to be you, Chris.
Hey, take it. I'm with you. I a rising tide, brings up all boats, and so like I want to be, all indies out there. Let's just keep killing it. We don't need the drama. We don't need anything. Just make your book. Show me your passion. Show me the quality. Show me the love, and then we'll all be chill. That's my goal. And then, like you said, that was when I was like, okay, cool. I think, not that we made it by any means, because I'm still working off of my savings to make comics and yada yada. So you know how it goes. It's still a struggle and a grind. But
money, work for hire. We know artists like Bianca and others that have been on the show. They work long hours. We know this. We've worked long hours in the past on our art, and to get a page of art, you can sometimes take a day or 2 days. In order to do it justice, you're trying to push yourself. You're on that tier, then maybe you're trying to get to the next tier so you can get better work for hire contracts and stuff like that. So you know what I mean. It's all about, and then you can be. It can be that you work very hard, but hard work alone is not enough. You've got to have a great product, but you've also got to make great noise to get it out there. Hard work and talent alone, unfortunately, are not enough. I mean, Alan Moore once said it, actually, the Watchman writer. He said, if you're expecting a brown envelope to discover you, Azrael, through the letterbox, and you open up this envelope and you take a piece of paper out, Azrael, welcome. You have been recognized by the Committee of League of Gentlemen Creators for Arts, Comics, Movies, Games, and Toys. We'd like to induct you into our academy so that you may do a book and earn a living. You're not going to get that welcome to the club letter. You've got to really get out there, make it happen. So it's, yes, talent, but also open your arms, accept people for what they are and forgive them. And because in 50,000 posts, it's sometimes a challenge to, the challenge is to find one thing about people we like. And then when we do that, we realize once we open ourselves up to people, actually there's quite a few things you like about them. And then after that, the challenge is, okay, the 1 or 2 things that occasionally annoy you about them. The greatest love and grace and compassion is forgiving people for those slight mistakes sometimes. And can you, in friendships, in love, husbands and wives, all the divorces and that, can you get over the 1 or 2 things about them that really annoy you? For example, we used to train with Master Yoda. Lord Maul to his friends, and he'd do 150 to 170 kilogram squats. You might know a bit about powerlifting, do you, Chris O'Hara? A bit?
I do work out, but I do not power lift. I have actually like a back injury, so I have to be
Oh,
very.
beg your pardon, sir.
No, I have 3 herniated discs, and it's from a
Resonated
construction.
disc. God bless you, sir. Oh dear.
Yeah, it's from a construction accident back when I was 24. So
Oh,
I've had
right.
it. I'm 35 now, so I've had it for about 11 years. You know, I'm in constant pain. I try not to make it
You
a
know
big
it by your
deal.
smile on your face. You're very gracious, sir.
I've been through it for a while now, so I'm kind of just used to it. But yeah, that's why I'm standing at a standing. I can't sit
Right.
down.
You're standing.
Sitting hurts. So anyway, I can't power lift.
Yeah.
So I do pretty much anything else that's like assisted to my back. But yes, I do follow plenty of, health influencers and everything like that to kind of, because I gotta stay fit too. I'm 35. It's falling apart. It started falling apart at 24. So I gotta really,
You got to manage it.
I gotta manage it.
When we were trying to do a degree, I think we're in a Celtic land, and we're trying to do a degree, and we did some art, and this guy wanted to set up a art club with a few people, and he said to us, we asked, why are you going all the way from 10 miles to get to here on a bike? Why don't you catch a bus or a car? Now, he was middle-aged, and what he said was, because if we don't, it's going to get a lot harder because your body will seize up. Yeah. That's why we do it. You've got to keep going so you don't seize up, and that can be physically, mentally, or emotionally. If you don't use it, you'll seize up, and then perhaps you can't see the world with a clarity that you would if you had a more holistic life. I mean, obviously, during the darkness wars of the last 3 years, having our holistic work, rest, and play circles has been a bit of an issue. And I think perhaps we're just all of us getting back to the light in that regard, in terms of a general healing for the population. Let's call it that. So we're glad you're actually trying to keep fit and try and maintain your back by what way you can, and by way of a smile, because you've got a smile and you've got humor. You can get through anything.
Pretty much. Yep. That's what I hold on to a lot. Yeah.
The big 5 questions, folks. We're going in with Chris O'Hara. We've been waiting for this. Who is Bent Comics? I think we've alluded to it already. What your storytelling influences, your comic journey so far. Movies, of course, very important because it's one of the 5 pillars of storytelling. But also, I think this was from Chaos Comics and Lady Death, creator Brian Toledo, where he was saying during we had lots of videos and conferences during the Darkness Wars that were on YouTube. YouTube became very popular, it blew up. And he said part of his business plan, when he goes into battle at a convention or doing social media and the playground of rich billionaires, all of them are 2.0, a honey trap, perhaps. So anyway, he basically said, it wasn't Metallica, but it was a heavy metal band. We go into battle with this, and we're playing, I don't know, Metallica. For somebody else, it might be Karen Carpenter with the voice of an angel, and whatever it is, that's what you're playing. That's your business plan theme tune. So that energizes you, because we know, for those people who don't know, at the top of the ether, music and art are one, because the notes are connected to art through a rainbow of color. So then, what we say is, what kind of music would you have as you go into battle? So there you go. Who's BentBox Comics, storytelling influences, comic journey, movies, and music?
Of course, I appreciate it. So BentBox Comics, as we alluded to, as you mentioned, is it's my company. I started it, but it is technically kind of a collective of indie creators. That's kind of how we operate. It's been helpful in growing the quote unquote company, where we bring on really talented creators, like-minded creators, not necessarily even like-minded all the time. That way we have a diversity of thought. That's very important. And then we also are able to work together in a way that is supportive of each other. So, if you want me to edit your script, if we have a BentBox creator who's writing, say, Orium 2, I'm sure I'm going to get a script from Star Million any day now, saying, hey, double check this for me. I will graciously do it. That way we make sure that the best book is coming out. And that's kind of how we operate, which is working very well so far. And I think it's allowing us to produce really high quality comics. But all that said, just a small press publisher based out of America. and trying to, make it happen.
A small
that's
small intimate select team.
Oh yeah, so I've had a handful of people that do want to join here and there, and some of them I've had to just I'm very selective, but I'm very objective as well, where I will say, I appreciate it, I see the passion, the art's just not there. Art is huge for me. It needs to be on point. It needs to be unique. It needs to hit basically everything for me. And if it doesn't, I'm just not interested. And I tell them that. I said, I don't feel comfortable putting BentBox Comics on the front of this book.
It's your name?
Yeah, and that's the company. And as you mentioned, or as we alluded to earlier, if someone reads Artificial One and then they want to read the rest of our library, I don't want to compromise that with someone's book that is okay, and then that's their introduction to BentBox, and then they don't want to read the rest of the library. So that's where we have to be selective, and that's what we do. And everything we have, if you ask me, are bangers. So I'm very happy and proud of all of our stuff. The comics journey that I've gone through personally is my dad was a inker for Marvel way back in the day, in the 80s. Like kind of a low tier one, kind of like a cleanup artist, that kind of deal. But he inked for Marvel for a little while. He was very talented, an insanely talented artist. We had long boxes in all of our closets filled to the brim with comics, because he had been collecting them since he was a kid. I honestly want to say at one point we went through and we had one of those like comics almanac type books that it showed all of the value of all of the comics. I remember one day we went through it and we got halfway through his collection and we were at $250,000 worth of comics was the value, because he had some really nice number ones. And so anyway, that was my childhood, was comics or pop culture in general, everything, movies, everything. He ended up leaving the family, which, happens, when I was about 8. And then I kind of dropped everything. I used to like to draw. I stopped drawing. I used to like reading comics. I stopped reading comics. It just happened. And it's unfortunate, because I have a feeling I could have potentially had a decent drawing capability by now, for all I know, if I would have kept up with it, which is a bummer, but I just dropped it. I've always liked creating, though, writing. I've written screenplays. I actually went to school to be a video game developer. So I've always just enjoyed creating. And by the time I reached about 33, my buddy John Shell was making a comic book called The Last Wand. This is before BentBox was even an idea. And he showed me how amazing this thing was. And it was super cool and very accessible to create as a writer, obviously minus the money part, because I want to make sure our artists are paid well. But write a script, work well with a collaborative artist, and you can make something really cool. And that's how, him inspiring me was how Artificial One came to be, my very first book. Yeah. I needed a brand. I wanted a brand or some kind of something to associate all my books together, and that's when I came up with BentBox. So that was the origination of it.
We approve.
Yeah. So I mean, it's going very well so far. I'm very proud of everything we've done. But I mean, that's kind of my comic journey. I'm continuing to write and help create. I'm currently lettering a comic book by someone, kind of figuring out a way to be a jack of all trades, or at least a jack of some trades within the comic book, spectrum. So it's going well. As far as my inspirations or things like movies and music, I am a huge cinephile. Not a ton with the like classic stuff, like the old stuff. Obviously, I've seen Gone with the Wind and all of these, but I've just never been as interested. Just my time period is a little different there. But I'm a huge Tarantino fan. I love
favorite Tarantino movie.
Favorite Tarantino movie. I think it has to be hold on. Hollywood. Why can't I remember the title of the movie?
Kill Bill.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah.
I don't know why it's my favorite, but I think it's my favorite. I loved it. I honestly love almost all of his movies. You know, they all have just a very grounded way of doing their dialogue. The shots are interesting. They're over dramatic. They're kind of crazy. I'm a huge Guy Ritchie fan, so I love all of his movies, even the like ones that people are like, you know, Robin Hood, or not King Arthur. I mean, he's just fun. I just like fun. So those are big.
Tarantino is surreal grounded, isn't it?
Yeah.
Keep going.
It plays with that. It mixes the genres there. It's surreal ground. Yeah. It likes to dabble in both, which is why I like it. You know, I've pretty much enjoyed most of his movies. As far as music goes, I'm of the time period of the like alternative rock emo of the 90s. I'm Blink-182, yeah, Inglourious Bastards. Sorry, the comment that just came in. That's probably one of my favorites as well. But like I'm a big Blink-182 fan. All Time Low. There's a Yellow Card. All these different A Day to Remember. They're all these different 80s and 90s kind of like emo pop bands. That's always been my bread and butter. But I will literally listen to anything. I like Eminem. I like country. I like everything. So yeah. One of my biggest inspirations musically is a band called Owl City.
Oh, Owl City, remember them?
I love Owl City. They're still making awesome music. I enjoy all of their songs. The creator Adam Young, or the main singer Adam Young, he came out with something called Adam Young Scores on SoundCloud. Highly recommend everyone going and checking them out. But they're like 8 to 10 track albums that are based off like what he would imagine a movie would be based on a certain genre. It's very interesting, but it's a score for a movie that doesn't exist. But there's like one based on the moon landing. There's one based on Mount Rushmore. There's one based on, it's really cool. But they're all scores, they're all instrumentals. And so you can pop those on and you can write anything underneath them. You know what I mean? Like they just kind of fit any vibe you're interested in. You're writing sci-fi, he's got one for you.
And that is a good way, isn't it? If you've got a staple of books, you've got an IP that will appeal to anybody. So let's say we roll a 6 to get started in Monopoly. You want a 6 for a customer. If you've only got one book and you roll a 1, that customer wants a 6, you've had it. But if you have 6 books, if you roll the dice, you're going to get a customer for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're always going to have at least one customer because you've got a family of IPs. Now, Bianca Yamakoshi says, Inglourious Basterds has to be the best. Do you have any special pick for Toshiro Mifune?
Ooh, I am not familiar with Toshiro Mifune. No, I don't want to pretend like I am.
Tell you what, Bianca Yamakoshi, it's nice. Look, we are like Socrates, we always say. We know nothing. So I'll
look it up for sure, though.
He's going to look it up for sure. That's good, Chris. That we get people in the chat that are educating us to cultural refinements that would maybe.
I need them.
That's the whole point. We need it to create our next wave of indie comic books. You know, and that's the beauty of every indie comic creator has their own business plan, their own style, their own writing, their own art, their own coloring. Particularly in the case of Bianca, she's got her own Gothic noir art. She has pencils which are red and blue pencils. The red for the kind of warmth, and the blue for the coolness in terms of motions. So when you're creating compositions, what you have is the red stuff is almost like the emotional fire of a given scene, and then the cool aspects, which are more distant, are compositionally blue, and which is also good in terms of Gil Kane style of separating compositional planes of foreground, middle ground, and background. So actually separate, because sometimes blue pencils can be quite cool and underwhelming on the eye. So when you come to inking, you almost get snowblind, but kind of blue pencil ink blind, And red is a bit warmer. We find red a bit better, but to have both, so that way you've got that compositional separation and unity, but you can actually see where you're going when you get to the inking. Now, she also has her own style when it comes to inking. It's somebody might say it's Japanese. It's almost like woodcut with the way. Kind of, we think we said it first, but Gail Simone also said it as well. So, right, Gail, we think we saw it first and said it first. But if you want to say it as well, Gail Simone, be our guests. After all, the more people giving Bianca Yamakoshi some compliments, the better. Very kind and giving creator who gifted us a new trade dress. Yes, a new trade dress for the 5 pillars of storytelling, yet to be launched, but we're going to leave that in Bianca's capable hands, because it took an almighty battle for us to get up what we had on YouTube. So it's not something we could do in just a few minutes. It's got quite funny about formats and stuff like that. So about YouTube, but we will look up Inglourious Basterds. It has to be the best. Do you have any special people to share with you? So what we say, Bianca, tell us more in the chat about it. We can put it up and help Chris and ourselves get more familiar with it. All right then. Us hate anybody? No way, Bianca Yamakoshi. In fact, you gotta hand it to her, haven't you? She's if she's taken on the drama, when we say drama queens, we mean guys who perhaps need to assert their male dominance into putting energy into actually drawing and writing and doing indie comic books, as opposed to moaning about other people who are already doing it. So full respect to Gail Simone and people like Mary Severin in Jack Kirby's days. Even Jack Kirby the King recognized that Mary Severin's work on the Hulk, no small pass of test that was. She did great work on the Hulk, and likewise, Gail Simone's earned her place in comics. That is beyond immutable doubt, and we feel that more and more, that all the people out there doing it, such as your good self, passion, courage, conviction, let these be our guiding star by way of grace and how we treat other people. So fair play to Gail Simone. She's still doing it and will continue to do so with prophecy. So yes, yes, lots of love. I think Bianca has got a very good sense of humor. She occasionally teases Azrael, but just no hate on this show. We're all about the positive, the gentle words, shining a little love, the wild frontier in comics. So yes, much to teachers, Bianca Yamakoshi has. So we like it when people in the chat, they're creative leaders, so they know what they're doing in their style. And sometimes maybe it'll be the reverse, and we might on the show have a creator who might teach her about something which she can go investigate, and that can be part of her work. So it's like this cross fertilization that happens, where you're doing this, the energy is backwards and forwards, so you get that oscillating tension between creators. And we don't view it as competition in the corporate soulless, everybody's got to die until there's only one remains, the prize. It doesn't have to be like that. You've got 6, 7, 13 books. We think, by the way, it's a cosmic anthology. You've split time and space, so instead of all the books being in one space by way of a few pages each, you've got an anthology by way of time and space. So 13 different books. That's an anthology in a manner of speaking, because each one's different, and yet they're all part of the same kind of non-corporate brand, of quality, select, intimacy. So an anthology by another name, we think. So here we go. Oh yes, what does Bianca Yamakoshi say? Passion, courage, and red hair. Of course, passion, courage, and red hair. Yes, particularly we've got a lovely BentBox red flavor going on tonight. A nice warm, almost terracotta red. It looks very nice. Passionate it is. So
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, they like it. We like it. We all like it. Yes, passion, courage, and red hair. We perhaps should have done red hair when we once looked like Tarzan. That was our window of opportunity. You never know. We might yet go for red. You never know. Oh, we're just teasing back here. we knew you were speaking about Gail's. You see, teasing is a two-way street, because oh yeah, we're so unassuming. Like Lieutenant Columbo. Miss, we had this idea that went off in on our head, and we just couldn't remember the thing. So we occasionally a bit like that, but we are generally modest and shy, as are most creators. Yes, we meant Gail Simone's hair, of course, a fire brand for what shall we call her? A feisty, gracious female who's out there doing what some only talk about. She does by way of action. And in the meritocracy of the 5 pillars of storytelling, actions speak louder than anything else. So yes, nice to have Bianca bring her wit, warmth, and charm to the chat. We like this. We do. So yes, we have got number 1 at the way. But next is, what does Bent Comics create then? elevator pitch, convention table pitch. We've just been airlifted from UK to a place where you actually have freedom and a constitution and a Bill of
Yeah.
Rights. That's
So
always
far.
good, because that way we can actually say what we really think.
Yeah.
So we've just been airlifted in front of your convention table. Azrael has flown there on his angel wings. So now, what you tell us in your elevator pitch, which book are we buying and why? By the way, it's going to be Star Million first. So we're going to buy that one and number 2. You've already sold us that without even having to say anything. But what other book from BentBox are you going to tell us the company pitch, or are you going to say this book's rather good, this is the company pitch, but this is also the kind of book that represents the company pitch? Go.
So we've done a ton of conventions recently, and the thing that we've pivoted to is now I love getting in front of people and talking and hanging out. So we've pivoted now to basically going, hey, Azrael, what do you think, or what's your favorite genre? Like, what are you into? And the reason why we can do that is we have something in every genre. We have horror, we have history, we have sci-fi, we have fantasy, we have noir with Star Million. So we have quite literally every genre you could want. And that's why so far with our elevator pitch or convention table pitch, we ask, like, hey, how's it going? What are you interested in? Like,
the winged one. Tell us about the winged one, which eluded our fingertips on our siren gaze. By mere fingertips, we say. What happened to that? Tell us, so we get it next time. Hit us with the sales pitch for the winged.
For Wingless? Yeah, so Wingless is a really fun action adventure series about Astro, a bird born without wings. It basically is kind of a revenge tale. So if you like revenge and crime and
Norman Bates.
Yeah, a little. It's a little more PG than Norman Bates, but it is kind of a young adult book. But it's very fun. We definitely kind of associate it more with like the old school Don Bluth Disney vibe. So if you like those old school way of Disney films, you're gonna love this book. Yeah. And then typically we have the book open, like we just let people look through. That's another reason why the art has to be good, is because art sells books. You can't really read the book all the way through. You can get a quick little idea of what the book is, and then you need to see it. And when that book opens up, it's easier to sell it. So yeah. So we have elevator pitches for pretty much all of our books.
Star Millions, Orium Saga, elevator pitch, please.
And once again, by the way, you're also putting me on the spot for books that I have not created, but we are the publishing house for it. Yeah. So what I say at a convention table for Orium is I say, this is an awesome black and white kind of noir style book about a guy named Robert who has to make the ultimate sacrifice to save the world. I say, and then I hit basically the kind of like the, not the plot points, but the vibe of the book. I always hit the vibe. So I go, I say, as it actually started as more of like a interesting noir tale, but now I've worked closely with the creator. It's actually now almost like this body horror type suspense thriller book. I was like, it's really cool. It has like global implications for the story. I think you're gonna love it. That's really it. You just kind of, you hit them with the vibe, you hit them with the very basic talking points, and then you always upsell at the end with a call to action on, I think you're gonna like it. Or you associate it with something else that might have a similar vibe. That way they can associate and go like, oh yeah, I do like that. Maybe I'll like this.
Tell you what, John, we hope you watch this one later and clip that, because we love you as brother and we love having you on the show. He should have been our first guest. He was actually our honorary first guest lined up, but we had technical issues on the StreamYard software, and don't worry, the technical assistants on that show, what would we say? Apology accepted, Captain Dar. And so, yes, we got BentBox Comics in the following week, and we got Star Million for the Wednesday afterwards, or Thursday it was. And and he was on our first midweek special. So he was our second guest, but actually, in honorary terms, he was actually spiritually our first guest. He's been with us.
Perfect.
Perfect. Right then, let us move on. So, no problems there. We thought we'd tease a little bit and just test out the elevator pitch boast. But I tell you what, immutable words of liquid gold, we say. There's a person that communes with websites and conventions and so forth, and well versed in social media as well, it seems. Yes, no drama for them.
Nope.
Right then, cover for Refuge. Tell us about this chapter 1 then. What influenced this cover, please?
So honestly, not a ton influenced the cover. The cover was quite literally just an idea I had. Wasn't much of an influence. It was more of a, once again, I'm big into vibes. So it's, what do I want to elicit when you see this cover? So Refuge, at its heart, is about a young boy soldier, a young child soldier that escapes a civil war that's ravaging his home country, basically taking everything from him. And as he escapes, he finds a deep, dark cavern on the side of a mountain where he goes deeper and deeper and deeper until he discovers that he's no longer alone. And that's kind of the quick little drop-off elevator pitch. And we wanted to give a sense of wonder and potential hostility or fear, some of these things that a child who is coming in contact with something that is not of this world would experience. So that the very first cover A, we wanted to have that vibe, because that's definitely the vibe of chapter 1. Chapter 1 is the discovery of the beast. It is the harrowing escape of Pavel, the main character. So that's kind of him seemingly alone, but obviously as the viewer, we are well aware that he is not.
Yes. Fear is the path to a dark side. We need not be alone.
Okay. We'll see how that works for Pavel.
We'll see how that works for Pavel. Right then, we can read this using our movie voice, but we'd actually like you, Chris O'Hara, standing up in all your glory to give us the story of Refuge. Who's going to do it, me or thee? Come on, Chris, you can do it.
I'll do it. Yeah. I don't have much of a movie voice, but I'll give it a shot. So, I mean, some of this is going to be what I just said, but obviously well written because it was already, test screened. But Refuge Chapter 1 is the beginning of Pavel's epic adventure. After a cruel war has taken everything from him, Pavel escapes the battlefield to find refuge in a mountain cave. But his safety is short-lived as he discovers he is not alone. Yeah. The series will follow a boy soldier on an adventure of a lifetime. Pavel will visit worlds unknown, fight nightmarish monsters, and hopefully find refuge from the terrors of his everyday life. Our plan for this short 4 to 5 issue series is to bring you a fun all-ages book that breaks the barrier to entry with its universal themes and lack of speech bubbles. So this is going to be a silent comic. That's right. This series is 100% led by the art. The purpose behind this decision is to allow Refuge to impact as many people as possible with storytelling that crosses cultural and language boundaries. Refuge will be added to our Comics for a Cause initiative and therefore will help support a great nonprofit that assists in global refugee efforts. Learn more about this below on the campaign page. So please consider backing this book or at least spreading the word so we can make a difference in the life of a child in need.
That's as good a story pitch as we've heard on this show. Let the gods cry out in celebration. So noble a word. Oh, yes. Bravo. Bravo, sir. Now, we'd call this into art breathless. What do you say it is, Chris O'Hara?
I think that's a good term. I call it beautiful, intriguing, high quality. That's what we do. The artist, his name is Lucas Jensen. He's a really talented young kid out of Brazil. I think he's 24. This is his first comic he's ever done. So it's very impressive what he's able to accomplish at his young age. And I'm looking forward to, seeing the book and all of its glory at the end, because if this is the preview that he gave us, I'm very excited.
Tell you what, when we first saw this, we just were blown away. We thought one day we're going to back this. And then a little while relative to the sun, It usually goes on our consideration list, and then basically we back it.
Good.
We thought
I appreciate it.
No, you're welcome, sir. Now, tell us about this page, please. This snowstorm page. A character with red hair, we hear.
Yeah. So, as you can tell by the garment that he's wearing, his getup, his soldier's uniform, it's kind of a hinting at maybe Soviet era Civil War, without obviously touching any foot in reality there, because we do want the book to basically be upheld in fantasy. We don't want it to be linked to any specific event, anything like that. But that was definitely the vibe I was going for. Was I liked this look for Pavel. Obviously, Pavel is also a Soviet era name. It's a more uncommon name, so that's why I picked it. But yeah, so this is Pavel. He has escaped his pursuers, but not unharmed. And as he kind of falls into the soft snow because of his wounds, he looks up at one last glance and notices potential refuge. A little cave in the side of the mountain. He makes his way to the cave, leaving a trail of blood, but seemingly inside may be safe.
Tell you what, we feel this is the kind of book. Artificial, Orm Saga, and now this. If there's a trinity, this has to be very close to it.
I hope so,
Right now to our mind. Yes, breathless. Tell us about this page. So we've gone from the white blizzard exterior, and he's collapsed because he's not without harm in terms of what's happened so far in the narrative. Tell us about this shift to the charcoal black.
Yeah, so this was really fun to kind of play around with. I told Lucas, the artist, that I really wanted to have a nice split between the book of this white, snowy forest, snowstorm type setting for the first majority of the book, and then the latter half have it be this just pitch black, dark cave that Pavel is working his way through, trying to go deeper and deeper, fleeing his pursuers. And so we had a couple of discussions on whether or not we wanted to show a lot of the cave as Pavel's working through. And I kind of, we came to the conclusion we'd rather it very legitimately feel dark void, because that's what the cave is. It's dark. You can't see anything. Even a little flicker of a Bic lighter will not suffice to really show you much. And so this poor kid, this poor injured soldier, is navigating through this dark, chasm. And as he goes further and further, he hears a crack and then a growl.
Indeed, life can be like that. You must feel like you're navigating a dark chasm. The cave black in this instance, but life can sometimes seem like that, like there's no way out, and it is a dark chasm. And that's where we bring Sword of Light to, yes, the chasm. Or as we call it, the Great Abyss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very much so. Right, this one is surprise and revelation. Let's go for it, Chris.
Yep, so this is obviously the final page of the preview. This gives you the understanding that Pavel is not alone, but he's also, as scared as he is, he's also curious. He's also inquisitive. He sees the hint of something in the distance, and he's interested enough to discover what it is. But then to his shock, it is this beast.
Yeah.
This creature that he's never seen before or seen anything like before, that roars back at him. And that is basically, that's the end of the preview. And then their adventure continues from there.
Yeah. The face of the enemy, huh?
Potentially.
We like that. That's a nice revelation. And on the Kickstarter, it's nicely poised where you think, okay, the next page, please. Then you have to back it. Shrewd, very shrewd.
I try. I need, you gotta give you a little taste and then take it away. And then say, hey, get the book if you want it. That's
The
the whole
nice
thing.
guy smiling, he's standing up, but there's a bit of ruthless salesmanship there. We like that.
I gotta, we gotta sell this thing.
Got to sell this thing. Well, no, we hear you, Chris O'Hara. I mean, the very idea that Azrael himself might be ruthless.
Yeah, it happens.
No, we're very ruthless for the indie comics community. We'll do anything to help. We view it for that lens of helping other people, and
I appreciate it.
Give till it hurts, and then give some more. Give till you bleed, then give some more until you bleed through and beyond. So rewards. Tell us about rewards we put 4 up here for you to talk about. Tell us about them, Chris.
So we wanted to make the rewards similarly. The reason why the book is a silent comic, we wanted it to be as low of a barrier to entry as possible. So any language, any person from anywhere around the world could read this book and enjoy it the same as you and I. And similarly, we wanted to hit that same goal with the price point. So it's a fairly reasonable price point for most indies out there. You have your digital standard for $4. Now there is a digital deluxe that you can get with a bunch of different cool concept art and stuff like that for $6. So just a small upcharge. Your cover A.
Very good. A bit of upsell. Good man. We always like the commerce with the art on this show. Go on.
You got to do it. Now cover A is obviously done by Lucas Jensen, the interior artist. That's only $8. It comes with the digital deluxe. Cover B is a really cool variant done by Gabriel Fonseca, who's actually the artist of Artificial, my original book, Blossom by John Schell. So that one, we just basically needed to have him have just a touch on this project because we just love working with him and he's so talented. Cover C is by a gentleman named Brian Middleton out of Ohio. He has a very fun, almost like Calvin and Hobbes type style, which obviously based on, I think most people will be able to pick up on that the whole point of the adventure becomes a very Calvin and Hobbes type adventure. So seeing his art, I fell in love with it. I was like, this is perfect. It fits the vibe of the book and the series as a whole. So I definitely need you as a variant artist, to the point where I might even use him on a couple interior pages on issue 3 for just a couple like sequences that would be really fun to have an art switch in it for specific reasons. And then, so $8 for A, $10 for both of the variants. And then, we have a collector's bundle and a monsters bundle.
Tell you what, we love the way you nuanced and finessed the upsell from $4 to $8 to $10. And you've got enough variety there. 3 variant covers is probably enough for most pockets, yeah? So you can have all 3 without it breaking you, yeah? Especially with shipping to the UK as well.
Well, so that is the one issue so far, and I want to cover that right off the bat. We are only shipping physical to America at this moment, unfortunately. And the main reason for that is what you just said. The shipping costs, and we've had a handful of issues with customs lately. Had a couple things come back, even though they had all the documentation they needed, had a couple things held, had a couple things upcharged the person who was picking it up, even though everything was supposed to be covered on the front end. Unfortunately, just to make sure that we can make sure this book happens, I can't afford, we just can't afford to deal with the hassle of that. So
it's time hassle and it's financial hassle as well. A double whammy.
Unfortunately. Yeah. As much as I would love you to have this physically in your hands, which hopefully we'll be able to get to that point in the future, because we are working on that once it becomes just readily, on our website once the funding completes. But for now, get yourself a physical copy. It's $4, or the digital deluxe for $6.
Yes. And that's it, isn't it? Digital allows ubiquity, and to reach people who can't quite afford paper, can't afford shipping. Yeah. It means that some in New Zealand and Britain can still pick it up and go, wow, I can afford all the range of indie comics because I like Artificial. We love Star Millions, Orium Saga. I have to steel myself for a second. We can't wait for Star Millions, Orium Saga 2. John Roscoe.
I'm excited as well.
We're so excited for that book. Just saying, giving it a bit of eye contact to the green light for our chat, and obviously Star Million himself. So yes, I mean, what can we say? You nuance that. It's all about commercial art. You've got to make some money. And you're having enough stable of comics and creators in there to focus on the editorial editor-in-chief control that you have to oversee the quality of the art. Because 80% of an indie comic is the art. Sorry, writers, you're a very important part, but visually the medium is comics. I mean, for example, if we want to give a certain king of comics creator some credit for the historical nows in the way of comics and forging universe after universe like the mega Olympian he was, then we would say, okay, let's us settle this debate by word of weight of gravity alone. Put all the pages that he ever drew on one side. Go on, we dare you. We double dare you. Now, put those little written plot briefs next to him and see who king, who forged the multiverse was, revealed by gravity itself. Now let's press on. Now, we revere great creators on this show, and we would see people like Chris O'Hara, Star Million, people like that, given their dues. Now we have the Star Trek technology to do it. Let's not hide in the shadows, in the tendrils of fear. Let us have courage, passion, and conviction. Pick up the sword of light and see your destiny right. In Nottingham the other day we were out, we posted about it. We had 4 angels tell us one thing, the same thing by way of random word. Yesterday, by way of existential gravity, a matter of great regard, the 5th angel that came to us, we say angel, call it what you will. The 5th one said the same thing. What did they say? Take the leap. Now, tell us about the add-ons, please, Chris O'Hara.
So, we wanted to have some fun with the add-ons while also giving you the quote-unquote standard ones. The sticker sheet, just some really fun stickers that Lucas came up with that you can put everywhere, anywhere and everywhere. We have the poster pack, which is all 3 of the posters for the covers. And then we have the coloring book. So the coloring book was a really fun addition that I wanted to throw on because this is an all ages action adventure series. It is meant for you and I to enjoy just as much as my 9-year-old son or my 5-year-old nephew and all of these different demographics and different ages.
Is that, sorry to interrupt you, but you've said this a few times now. We noticed on your website. Is this the bedrock? You know that disconnect between Captain Kirk going crazy and taking over the Enterprise and losing 90% of his traditional audience? Is this a foundational plinth for you to put the keystones in place for your company, a way of quality of artificial and Star Millions, Orion Saga 2, and we can't wait for it. And also this refuge, that they're all by way ageless. So the newsstand returns by way of spirit, yeah?
I would like it to be for sure. Artificial is definitely more young adult, I would say. Orium, I would say, is maybe more mature. But I do think a lot of these are ageless. They don't really necessarily deal with any real world elements that are going to be of lesser importance in the future or not. I mean, AI is a big part of artificial. So in theory, that should be fairly timeless moving forward. Refuge is going to be ageless in the way, or all ages is the term I'm trying to use, mainly just for it can be for everybody. Anybody and everybody can pick up this book. It doesn't matter where you live either. So that's my goal. And then because maybe young children or people who would be interested in coloring could pick up the coloring book and color along with their reading enjoyments. So if you want to color the beasts in your own cool fashion, polka dots and color the horns pink and everything like that, feel free to just enjoy and have fun. I love the idea of a coloring book, so I want to make sure we had it because we have really cool and clean line art. So it basically lent itself to a coloring book.
Now, we're going to say something. The last person that had us hanging by a thread was Vaughn the Lightning Coleman of his book Phenomenova. Anybody who knows anybody knows his backstory, we've got the book. We actually went physical on his book. We had to. We just had to. We would recommend just go and watch episode 4, The 5 Pillars of Storytelling Live. And we were hanging by a thread. Not only does he have energy, but given everything he's lost and worked towards, he would make any guiding star proud of everything he's done. And, probably for the first time since that interview, you really touched us deeply. Sometimes you hear something like that, made the gods cry tears of joy and celebration. It's personal, it's indie comics, and it's restoring that lost vibe, that heartbeat of our youth, that spirit of when we loved comics and it was everything to us. And we were in that little world of innocence, to be young again, reforged as beautiful spirits, beautiful souls with imaginations. There was a way of doing it and recapturing that eternal fountain of youth. And we feel your manifesto for quality and accessibility to that immortal soul that we all have, that wants to just enjoy life, have a simple time and escape from the real world's problems. We've got enough problems in our life. There's enough darkness in the world without adding to it, without giving in to the dark side, without sounding like Lucas and Star Wars. It's telling that his story, he got so much hassle for the sequels and the Phantom Menace and young Jake, who did young Anakin. That story is all about a guy and his mum. Vaughn Coleman's story is all about him and his parents. And what we love about what you're doing, it's going back to that time of being young, having parents, having a family, and we'll stop there. But I think you can feel where we're coming from. It's the quintessence of what we're trying to do at Indie Comics, at the Wild Frontier. To have sticker books, it's advertising on your fridge. It's a family thing. You can all share in a colouring book. You can colour with your mum and dad. It's a family thing. That's the thing that we think should come back to comics. Not that you can't have adult stuff, of course. You can have people who might specialise in something that's more grown up, of course. But that becomes a choice. Whereas that kind of broader growth of indie comics, to me, like a mainstream pop, you might not like mainstream pop, but it serves as a way of accessibility, which is a celebration of now. Just like in the 1950s and 40s, comics were a celebration of the events then, when superheroes were gaudy and might appeal to young people, might have actually given relief from a real-world soldier's job to escape for a while from the guns and the consequences and gravity of war. So that eternal child is represented here. We see, and lovely merch, by the way, poster pack, colouring book, sticker sheets. We say a trinity of merch. Right, moving on. Tell us about the creative team, please, Chris.
Well, that's my goofy face. I am a writer and graphic designer.
Oh, wait a minute. You have a goofy face?
I do.
Well, word on the street is that Azrael has a goofy face too. Just saying.
No, I got one, and that's from a date with my wife. So you can tell I enjoy.
Right. Oh, here we go.
I enjoy embarrassing. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm the creator of BentBox, and I've created a handful of different IPs through BentBox. Basically, anything you could be interested in. So it's been fun. Primarily only a writer at the moment, but I have done a little bit of extra work otherwise, and I'm looking to get into lettering. So keep a lookout for hopefully some more than low tier lettering, maybe higher than low tier lettering. That's my goal. It's going to take me a minute to learn it, but I want to be involved. And then Lucas Jensen is the super young, fresh-faced artist out of Brazil that, he's super into pop culture. He loves Pokemon. He's a big fan of Eminem, the rapper. It's really fun working with him. But he's got a huge passion for this project. He loves working on it. So we're trying to make it happen as best as we can because he's super invested, almost more than I am.
Tell you what, Bianca Yamakoshi is bringing her usual wit and charm and warmth to it. And we like that. Don't worry, Tim, the passion awesome. We see you there. Don't worry, we're going to welcome you because these are people who've got their own books, their own anthologies, their own work contracts that they're kind of working on, So we like to give them shout outs for their stuff as well. Oh, Azrael, are you wearing some merch? You're just talking about sticker books. there's actually a Facebook video of Azrael doing something like this. Heavyweight is a webcomic that's now become a paper comic. We know because we backed both of them. They arrived via that mere puddle called the Atlantic mere moments ago. They even stepped over a pebble to reach the puddle to splash and come to us. Heavyweight is a political conspiracy about gold-blooded boxers, and it features bone-crunching action. Oh yes. And it can be had for fair price by way of John Long's website. Take a little look at that Egyptian mood noir. Gold-blooded boxing was never so fun. John Lohman, we love you for that short. He clipped us, but we like it. We don't mind being clipped, you know, especially if we're doing something goofy. You know, somebody's going to clip us doing that. Of course they're going to do that. So anyway, Bianca Yamakoshi says, it feels like Sunday. Easy like Sunday morning. We like that Sunday morning feel. We call that, Bianca, the Azrael effect. Oh, yes. We like to do a bit of that. And wait a minute, what's Bianca saying here? Don't double dare me, okay? Hey, man, don't double dare me. That sounds like a double dare. So we're going to just give it some Connery eyebrow to the green light. We double dare you. I can't do the Samuel Jackson to a lady, so we behave ourselves. That was a Pulp Fiction thing. Don't worry, Bianca, we weren't going there. So yeah, but we're going to double dare you now. Of course we are. How can you not tease the ladies just a little bit? Not so much that you get lamped, you know what I mean? We're not talking about getting a head knocked off, you know? But yeah, we think we're going to do our first double down the show. Now let's give it some obsidian eyeball stare. Hope you're ready for the Chris. Hope you're ready. Here we go. We're going to do some. Here's the shoulder. Pick up the sword of light. Now let's give it some twinkle-eyed obsidian. Huh? Han Solo. Come on. You're right there, Princess Leia. Oh, yeah, we've got to do about that. Don't double dare me, okay? Hey, we'll be careful because she wields a katana, so we're at a safe distance, we think. If she's in the country now, then we're in deep trouble. If we get that surprised, man, what are you going to do? Don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. Lock the doors. Might have to open the doors. You never know if it's a lady. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Hey, it's the one and only John Long. Nothing but love for BentBox Comics. Hey, John.
Awesome.
Hey,
Thank
John,
you.
do you recognize these? Do you know who these are? John Gold-Blooded Boxers Heavyweight Long. Yeah, nothing but love for BentBox Comics. So you've got your fans in the chat there, Mr. O'Hara.
I appreciate it.
Chris, just got to ask, did your wife tell you off for making that face? You know what women are like. Sometimes they, you know, you're goofing around, then you get a slap and think, what did I do? We're only trying to have fun. And then next you get your eerie and everything. What did I do? What did I say? Why is everybody against me?
No, thankfully I married a pretty cool chick. She's just as
You
goofy
called
as
a
I am.
chick and she didn't hit you? So
No,
we're just teasing.
She's pretty cool. She's just as goofy as I am. She plays video games. She's awesome. So I can be goofy in public with her, no problem.
Goofy in public. But what about everybody else? But you don't care, do you, Chris?
Don't care at all.
That sounds like a kindred spirit. You don't care about being goofy. We love being goofy on this show. In fact, we'd probably win. Well, we think Chris might win the Goof Award, judging by that face, but we'd be an honourable runner-up. Let's give it to Chris O'Hara's wife. You can give her a shout-out if you want, sir.
Oh, yeah, it's Sable. My wife's name is Sable, and she's amazing. She goes to cons with me, helps me, hold down the fort. Yeah, she's awesome.
Oh, man. Right, to tell you what, we lingered on the creative team. We just want you to look at what BentBox are doing. On this show, we don't like to rush the moment. We like to savor things. We don't like a box of chocolates. We don't eat them all at once. We're renowned for our patience. Deep reserves of patience, Azrael has. Let things unfold by way of their own healing time. A kaleidoscope of colours. Let us see each colour and celebrate each colour by way of joy and giggles and laughter. Why not, eh? Right, let's move on here. Trailer, can't wait, but we've got some more comments to get through. After all, we can't go to a trailer without saying, John, Gold-Blooded Boxing, Big Love, a regular feature we put on our midnight recent feature called Indie Comics Late Night Love, Big Love, where we celebrate indie comics from yours to a shed load, an ocean liner of others. And what we do is we put up the window shopping from our Indie Comics promo, available on Sunday, on Wednesday, on Friday, usually posted after 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, London, which used to be the centre of the world before our American cousins kindly took over the order for us.
Yep.
And Azrael, you've been naughty tonight, just a little bit. We started off nice and calm. But now and again, we have to put a little bit in, just to keep the audience entertained. And our chat, because our chat primes us, we have to interact with the chat to behave ourselves. And what would we say? Yes, Greenwich Mean Time. So basically, our American cousins are chasing us on time. We actually put the show, Chris, for America. We actually wrap it around their anchor time, so we know that you've got all day to appear on this show. 7 o'clock. Yeah. At 7 o'clock is about the limit for us for doing a show, a 1.5 to 2 hour show. So we try and actually bend around you guys to actually, you're the biggest audience, but we want you to feel that we're making a sacrifice as well to push you. And that it's not without, it's painless to us, but you know what the Stoics do? We enjoy the pain. We enjoy the pain.
We do.
Go down that road, Azrael. You can't say enjoy. You've got to say endure. Yep. Welcome, John Long, in the chat. Tim the Passion Olsen, and we didn't get Jar Jar as the Phantom Menace. Well, a Sith Lord, some might say. Anyway, we'll be following Jar Jar's progress and create with great interest. Moving swiftly on, we've got Tim Olsen. He looks just a tiny bit high. Well, yeah, we have to get an extra inch or two where we can. Those people weren't born 6'5". We have to work our mighty spirits to actually grow our affection to our storytelling audience, so they might see us for who we are: gentle, graceful, and generous. With the heartbeats we have for the time we spend, we will not get back. Cronus giveth, but Cronus also taketh away. Let us vibrate in soulful synchronicity. Hands open, used to be, but now hands are like this. We hear you, great ether, flow through us. A wee bit high. Gold-plated boxes. We'd say these are gold-blooded boxes. Just saying, Tim the Passion Olsen. Who got to give him a shout for his book that we backed, Melvin 3, 1 to 5, or on Amazon. Is that correct, Tim Olsen? Boxing, it's more like kickboxing, Tim Olsen, because when they put a knee to the nose, it really, 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 I think his artist name is Carlos, I think they met. Actually, his wife, Chris O'Hara, is actually, believe it or not, his editor and his accountant. How about that? For shoulder to shoulder.
Not bad. Yeah.
So it's just him, John Long, on the come on, Azrael, use your brain, short-term memory, work it out, make it better. He's the creator and writer of the book, the conceptor. He's got his own website, he's got his own Facebook, he's got his own X. He's basically even does YouTube shorts, which actually have taken the beautiful honor of being our most watched video on our site. The short for the boxer, for the gold, for the heavyweight indie comic is at 965 views the last we did see. His live chat where he brought his army of family, his wife, they're all beside him in this battle, not behind him, and the friends as well, got the chat rocking that night with our own business mentor, Sarah, 5-star Grocott. Bianca was in the chat that night. Good time was had by all. It was rocking. The most popular, most feisty, most fun chat we've had so far, And to be fair to John, he was, it was his first time, a freshman. Basically, we did a bit of green screen, and he was chatting away to us. And then by the time the stream started, quote unquote, late, we were already into it. And then he just grew into it. We did a bit of heavy lifting at the beginning, and then he just took it away. And 165 views, our most watched live chat ever. Very special coming of age 5 Pillars of Storytelling Live episode. Yeah. So
Awesome.
then, so oh, says Tim Olson. Yeah, we like to do shout outs for you, Melvin 3. Hey, we love that cover, but you know what's inside it also counts by way of the front cover's portal. You hear what we're saying, yeah? For you did write it, and your artist is that kind of John Carter of Mars. Almost like Gil Kane style, direct, strong triangle compositions. The words will come to us and flow. Hey, you got to trip over yourself, man. That's part of doing live. I can recall the host saying that. Oh dear, somebody actually keeps an eye on what we're actually saying. So we've got to be historically consistent. Oh yes, we're still double down, by the way. And as the fifth angel, hey, how many is it for the end of the apocalypse? Is it 4? Well, for the Forge of Life's Renaissance, you need 5. And we're sure the Horn of Jericho did blow on this one as well. This angel said, take the leap. How can 5 people by way of random time and space say the same thing? Just saying. Giggles. Does Azrael. Just saying. Hey, we don't make the script up. Maybe the ether or maybe the nexus controls us. We don't know. So yes, we can recall. Yes, Melvin 0 to 3 with 4 in the pipeline and 5 to come. Melvin, I tell you what, Tim, the passion Olsen. Tell you what, we enjoyed having him on the show. He's a great guest. Serious, heaviness, gravity. It meant something. We could see it in his voice. And every expert that comes on our show, like your good self, Chris O'Hara, has their own style, and we celebrate that. Right, and here we go. Sid Tells is the artist on Melvin. So you never know. One day that might be an artist for your stable, Master O'Hara. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know. And hey, John Locke, we've got to give some artist love here while we're doing it. We'll get back to the to our refuge in a moment. Artist on the Golden Heavyweight. Heavyweight is artist Carlos, and his work is Egyptian Moon Noir, christened so, right here and now. And gotta say, John, his team, his enthusiasm, his humility. We like humility. We like mellowness. It's just, maybe it relates to who we are, you know. What you see, folks, is what you get, you know. Used to be 21, now we're 29. We stopped counting. And, you watch the movie when you're 21. Yes, Master O'Hara, yeah. Then when you get older and you're 29, what do? You watch it again and you learn that there's more to the movie than meets the eye, yes?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, another one of our favorites is When Harry Met Sally. We're going to post that on X and see if it hits the spot. Just saying. Right then, so Sid Tells, and yes, Carlos there from John Long. We're going to say this now. There we go. We're going to say here. Wait a minute. We didn't answer the double dare. We do double dare. Maybe that will meet its mark. And we'd like to say as well, because we didn't do it, but we should, welcome to John Long and Tim Olson to the chat. Oh yes, here we go. Let's put up those messages. So we're going here. Yes, we do double dare. And we're not going to say it in the Simon Jackson voice, folks. So we're going to behave. Yeah, universal family-friendly show. Moving swiftly on, and we say welcome to John Long and Tim Olson to a chat. Heavyweight and Melvin themselves backed both. We did. We like to back our indie comic beautiful souls out there. Right then, let's get to it. We have a trailer, so how about we do it? Let's see if we can do it without stuffing up. We stuff this up every time. So let's see if we got it. Here we go. Quick. Tick off. That. Try again. There you go. Flawless, 11 out of 10. Spinal Tap, 11 out of 10.
Thank you. You know, I had a lot of fun making that. I'm very proud of how it turned out.
Yes, we would say you should rightfully be so proud. It's that's everything we want in indie comics promotion. When people say indie comics aren't good at promoting themselves, we say, "Oh, contraire." Yes, contraire. We say, check out this honourable example, and you will see, you know, something that sets the bar that we can reach with passion, yeah, courage and conviction, with heart, positivity, yeah. If you can't do it yourself, find somebody who can. Maybe there's the person who did, for example, the trailer for Artificial, perhaps. Master Chris, yes. Care to give him a free plug?
Yeah, so Chris Selby, I believe is how his last name is pronounced. He's pretty killer at motion graphics. So I had him do both the trailer for Artificial 1 and Artificial 2. And they turned out fantastic. I really loved how those turned out. This one was one of those ones where I kind of wanted to challenge myself at it. Myself and my buddy John Shell kind of worked on it a little bit, one of the other creators at BentBox. So yeah, I thought it went pretty well, and it was fun, you know, learning experience, trying to get my once again my hands dirty and my feet wet in all the different aspects of comic book creation and promotion.
You are the watchman, Swiss maker's watch, the cogs in the wheel of your company, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, we'd say,
Yeah.
from what evidence we've seen so far. Right then. Will, I like BentBox Comics Refuge, Chapter 1. Who is your indie comic for? Target audience, please, Chris O'Hara.
So the target audience is, so the last time I said this, as I said, it's an all ages book. And that means if you're an age, it's for you. Doesn't matter what your age is, but it's for you. Now, specifically, if you like those whimsical, old school Disney adventure type movies, or Calvin and Hobbes, Monsters Inc., you got The Wild Robot, all these more fantastical, and like I said, whimsical, I love the word whimsical, type adventures, you're going to love this book. There's a lot of fun, a lot of comedy, a lot of danger, a lot of introspection, which is kind of an interesting to write for a child because it is a child soldier. But it also deals with a lot of hard topics. You know, it deals with war. It deals with PTSD from the aspect of a child that had to go through a traumatic experience. It has to deal with hope, finding a home, you know, all these different things that have been real fun to write. And so, yeah, it's for everyone. It's quite literally for anyone and everyone. That's why I try to make it as low of a barrier to entry as possible. And that includes language, includes everything. So, but that said, you know, the people who would probably get the most out of it are parents. You know, if you specifically have young children or young adult children, this would be a perfect story for them. Specifically, you could even go along with them with, you know, you could go along the adventure with them, specifically if you get the coloring book, because you can quite literally do it together. And but at the same time, I love all that old Disney stuff. I love, you know, I'm talking about the old stuff. I love the new Wild Robot.
We're actually Disney folks. Just
yeah. So I love that. I love some of the new stuff like the Wild Robot and all these things that are definitely more focused towards children or young audiences. But I love them too. They're very enjoyable. They're very fun to watch. So this should hit you as well.
Interesting that you're almost drawing on the storybook tradition there to reach a widest possible audience. If we could actually see, 4 of these, or maybe 3, or even 2 of these put into a hardback trade, then you've got the, knock on wood, hardback edition to go into a library.
Yeah, well, so the other thing, I don't know if any of your following slides are going to show this off, but one of the things we're doing with this is it's going to be Comics for a Cause, which is the initiative that BentBox decided to create because indie comics has become so divisive and drama and all that stuff that I couldn't care less about. So we kind of try to figure out how could BentBox set themselves apart from all that. Like, what could we be known for other than awesome comics? Because we are known for that at the moment. That could also help just set us apart. And one of those things is giving back with our comics. So we created something called Comics for a Cause, and that is an initiative that will team up a couple of our IPs towards or to help support specific nonprofits or charities that kind of fit the narrative or the audience for a specific IP. So like Blossom gave back to the Smile Train Foundation, which helps children with cleft lip and palate all across the world.
That sounds good. Noble.
There's a very pinpointed reason for that, especially if you've read Blossom, you'd understand. Wingless is given back towards the Tiny Superheroes Foundation, which is a really cool charity that gives like capes to kids in the hospital that are either have terminal illness or something like that. But it's really cool. And then Refuge, I had a meeting with the organization World Vision. A little bit before we kicked off the campaign, we chose them to have our book go towards basically refugee or displaced children across the world. So that's one of the reasons why we want to make this accessible to everyone. You know, it could be enjoyed by anyone, mainly because my goal is to make this book a basically buy one, give one type situation. That way we can give back, because I do want this book to go towards helping children in need. And I feel like that would be a really fun thing to have, say you buy the book, we ship along with your copy, we give a copy to a child in need through World Vision, whether it be in America, whether it be in another country. And that's the other benefit to the fact that it's a silent comic. It doesn't matter who we're giving it to, they'll be able to enjoy it just the same.
Chris O'Hara, we commend you. What noble, worthy causes, yeah? And we did mention on the last time's show that basically the biggest audience on the planet are those actually outside of quote unquote comics, and they're not so big too anymore. Even outside of manga, which is huge itself, even outside of the explosion of indie comics, the biggest audience is out there. Let's say 4 billion people are connected to the internet. How many of those are manga, not so big two comics, and indie comics? If you were to put them all in a bucket, there's still billions of readers out there, which your prescient prophecy is alluding to, that you've got billions of people who you can actually sell indie comics to that didn't know they were into comics. Well, by planting these seeds and growing those sprouts into the young minds, and we can all be young minds forged again as new, unburdened by life's dark clouds, and to actually reach people with hope and with passion and courage and conviction that way, and to back it up with extra copies, that is a true noble cause. So you're working on, yes, the quality that sells everything else as a business motto, yeah, but the anchor stone is also the kind of the way the world is sometimes surrounded in darkness. Your philosophy can be the sword of light that brings healing to the world and to those children with the eyes of hope. Yeah, absolutely.
That's the hope.
Beautiful. Now, why do you create indie comics, and when did your specific journey with indie comics begin, Chris?
Well, I mean, I create comics because I've always been a creative person. I love making things. I've always wanted to do a movie. I've wanted to direct a movie. I made video games for a while, most of which are very like narrative driven. So the video game market's very volatile. I mean, probably no less than the comic area, but I definitely noticed that it was very hard to get a video game made. It just is. It takes a lot to get a video game made, but it is very fun. That said, because a lot of my stuff was, narrative based and had stories and character driven, it was kind of an easy, an easy path to comics because I was able to translate a lot of these game ideas that I had. They originally started as game ideas. Um, this adventure that you could go on with Pavel and this beast. And, I have like play mechanics in my head of like being able to ride the beast and like all these battle mechanics, so there's all this video game stuff because that's how that's what I went to school for. But because it's so difficult, I still want to tell the story. And one of the best ways to do that is comics. And so started making comics, and it's been so much fun. I mentioned earlier that John Shell with his book, the first one, kind of got me interested in making them, or at least showed me that it's possible. And then I dove headfirst in and have been making comics ever since.
That's what we like. There's a path for everybody to take their own journey, on that sandy beach with their bare feet, and feel the sand.
Yeah.
You've got your way in, as has everybody else. Right then, coming towards the last bit of the show, what advice would you give aspiring creators, Chris O'Hara? We listen, learn, and share on this show. And like you said, it's all ages, isn't it? So children, adolescents, and families, parents are actually creating indie comics within the same family. So what advice would you give to a creative family that wants to go down that sandy beach and their footsteps in the sand and actually start being aspiring creators?
Yeah, I mean, one of the more common pieces of advice is just do it. The old Nike saying, there are a lot of things you end up being hesitant to do because you're worried that you're going to do something wrong or you're not ready. There's a lot of pieces of it that you kind of learn along the way. So the best thing to do is just to start. And that depends on who you are. If you're an artist, if you're a writer, if you're a letterer, a lot of that is basically just put your pen to the paper. Start making something. I also recommend a lot of research. So I do some research, but not a ton, mainly because I tend to be very influenced and I don't want to be influenced in a way to where I'm like copying things and I'm like it's like, oh, I remember seeing this panel in this specific book. Let's do that. I don't want to do that a ton. I kind of take inspiration from a lot of different mediums, aka music, video games, movies. Outside of comics, which is kind of interesting and not necessarily the most common thing to do. But I do recommend a lot of people, if you're interested in comics, do some research. If you're a writer, look up scripts. Try and find someone who will let you read their script. That way you can get a feel for how it's written. If you're an artist, find an artist that you can connect with, or just there are tons of artists out there. And typically, other than a few bad eggs, I'm sure there's a few bad eggs. Typically everyone just wants to help. So if you like, hey, I sat on a meeting the other day with a writer who wants to write his first book, and I sat on there for like 2 hours just chatting with him, talking about things, talking about finding an artist, talking about his script. People are there to help, reach out. But yeah, just start. That's always the best thing.
Just start,
and also be humble. That's another thing.
Absolutely. Gratitude. Yeah.
A lot of times you're going to not be the smartest person in the room. So it helps to listen to the other people. And if you are the smartest person in the room, the saying goes, you should find a different room. So that's typically what it is. So like with myself, I give a lot of creative freedom and liberty to my artists because I trust them. I know that they know what they're doing. I know that they have a great eye for storytelling and pacing and things like that. So, there's some writers who be like, no, this isn't how I wrote this. You need to read, you're not following my script or things like that. That's never how I go about it. Typically, if it's a good idea, the best idea wins at the end of the day. And typically you have to be able to be humbled in that. And that goes for everyone in the creative process, the artist, the writer, as long as you're doing a collaborative work. If everyone's humble and everyone's just focused on making the best product, the best story, the best book at the end of the day, you're going to end up with the best book at the end of the day. But the second someone, steps on someone else's toes and then they get upset about it, and now this thing is that and blah, blah, because you're smarter than him or you're better than that person, that's how you screw up a project. So there's a bunch of things that kind of come with timing, that you
And
learn?
and with time, patience, humility. Be humble, listen, learn,
Yeah.
share, and realize that people aren't out to get you. They're not out to hurt you. You know, sure, sometimes they might be, but rarely. And
Rarely.
but yeah, that can happen. You can get a bad roll on the dice, but most of those dice rolls in the comics community, in our view, most people are trying to do their best to put out the best product. They're very humble. They express gratitude when somebody praises them, and they're generally quite a forgiving bunch because the air is human. Yes, so
Yeah.
everybody's going to probably annoy you at some point, but sometimes take it on the chin. You know what I mean? It's not forever. It's just a day out of your life, and then a good night's sleep can change everything. There's times when we've been on the 5+ storytelling. We're thinking, oh, how did that go? We did a right stinker with that promo. We should have done better. We should have used this book. We should have included that creator. And then through the lens of another day, you've had your sleep. Or we've certainly started sleeping much better these days. Thank you very much, that person who got us on the path to enlightenment with our sleep. We thank you very much. It's certainly got us onto path to better sleep. We've now got more energy for the 5+ of storytelling. And we can put our energy not only to promoting other people, helping other people get noticed with their books, but also if you don't get your sleep, you ain't getting to a drawing board. It's just not happening. You haven't got it in you if your body's dead tired. Sometimes we have a bad day, we get ill and stuff like that, and artists can get ill for a variety of reasons. But if you get a good night's sleep, then obviously that can make a big difference to be able to get to that drawing board. So we want to just put our thanks out there in all humility. Right then, not long now. What super would you be, Chris O'Hara?
Oh man, I don't know. Like because one of my favorites was always Captain America. When I was a kid, it was Superman. And then thanks to the MCU with the Infinity Saga and everything, I really liked how they represented Captain America, and I've always really, liked his character and his arc. I'd love to, that'd be awesome. I do feel more akin to him, but I don't know. I also tend to gravitate more towards the villains, which is interesting. I am not a villainous guy.
Oh, secret bad guy here. Come on, Chris.
Yeah,
It's just the two of us guys talking, shooting the breeze right now. Let's just drape ourselves over this strange lime. Not just me, but the lime chair is also strange. But I dead to say, Azrael, you're weird, but you're coming from a nice place. We like you. And then we said yes, but you also forgot strange and all the other words we are. And then when we actually got down on the couch, and she gave us the Cyclops glasses. Yes, Bianca Yamakoshi, the Cyclops glasses at our teeth cleaning. And then we started to behave ourselves real quick when the sharp things came out, because she's a professional and we're doing as we're told. Amen. Sorry, Chris, where were we? What kind of super are you going to be? Captain America.
Well, I mean, yeah, like I said, I like Captain America. I'm more of a Captain America guy. I grew up on Spider-Man, though, but then for some weird reason, I've always been more interested in villains and how their character development is. So that's always just been interesting to me. So superhero-wise, probably like a Captain America would be cool. But otherwise, when you're talking about just like actually what specifically interests you within the realm of superheroes, I tend to be attracted more to the villains.
Oh, wait a minute. We're being very general here, very generic, Chris O'Hara. Come on now. When you say villains, which villain are we talking about?
One of my favorites is Carnage, because I do like Spider-Man. And I remember I had this novel when I was younger called Carnage in New York. It's an actual novel. It's not a comic book, but it's a really cool book. I'd highly recommend checking it out. It's a little more adult than I should have been reading because it's very graphic.
Chris, as
a kid,
I feel about that, Chris.
Well, graphic in the way of Carnage is just, his arm turns into an axe and he just cuts everyone's heads off, and then it's just, it's all going into great detail about it. But it's, it's just
that's
a novel.
Serendipity. You've got that book, and then you've got the actual Marvel Comics Carnage as well. I mean, how do you make that up? How do you explain that?
I don't know.
We don't either.
Yeah.
We've spoken to 5 angels this week. We don't know what's going on. We don't know anything actually. We're like Socrates, know nothing.
Yeah,
Yes,
I agree with that as well.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
also know nothing.
Okay,
But
the guy knows nothing. We know nothing. We all know nothing. Doesn't it feel great? It's liberating. Our shoulders now feel lighter. So light, we might do another promo for heavyweight. Just saying, John Long. You know what's going to happen now? We're not going to dance to it. We're just going to put this out there, adjust our blouse. And here you go. Heavyweight, John Long. Gold-blooded boxers, swirling conspiracy, and Jean-Claude Van Damme kickboxing nose-busting action. Feel better now we've done that. We love promoting the French pancake crepe out of things. Just love it. Right then, we're going to go to the next slide. But before we get to the bonus questions, we're nearly done here. Bianca Yamakoshi says, diva attitude never works. Right on, sister. We never behave like that on our show. Absolutely not. It's just not the thing done in indie comics. Right, now we've got that out of the way. We're going to ask some bonus questions. Don't worry, you're not going to need the lawyer and a big glass window from The Simpsons.
Okay,
it's really done. Right, what are your plans for Refuge going forwards, Chris?
Yeah, so it's a 4 to 5 series book or series, and I would like to, at the end, obviously have a nice, like you even mentioned, a nice trade paperback or a nice hardcover that could go into a library, that could be something that kids could enjoy or everyone could enjoy. That said, I'm known to not think small. I always think big, and which so far it hasn't hurt me too much, but it's been fun. So like one of those things is I'm working with an animation studio right now. I would love to figure out a way to, like you said, comics can be turned into movies, games can be turned into anything, all these cross medium, different adventures that we could go on. It'd be really cool. I could definitely see this as a movie. So that's one of my goals, would be something like that, to have the IP of Refuge cross into a different medium.
Absolutely. So you can take it to another medium and it lives and breathes and becomes something else. You get that order of magnitude, but turbo boost, because you can play to the strengths of each pillar of storytelling, whether that be games, movies, art, toys. They all are revenue streams to reach that ageless audience that you're talking about.
Yep.
Now, favorite pizza. The end is in sight now, Chris O'Hara. Favorite pizza. What you're eating, and this is our hand. We're in danger of eating this right now, because we don't say what we haven't eaten today, because we don't want to worry our viewers, but we're certainly going to have something to eat after the show. Existential matters are more important than our stomach on this day of days. So what's your pizza, Chris?
So it's nothing fancy, but it's kind of fancy. There's a joint not too far from my house. I think it's called Tony's New York Pizza, which is a very stereotypical name for a New York pizza joint in Florida. But it's
like Tony Soprano's on pizza range.
Who knows? I have no idea. All I know is it gives that vibe of that New York pizza joint. But they have a buffalo chicken pizza that is, I could eat it every day, all day. So that is my favorite pizza.
I'll tell you what.
And I just found it like 2 months ago too.
Yeah, you did what? 2 months ago you were there.
I found it 2 months ago, and now I'm like, this is my favorite thing ever.
Come on, Chris. While we do confessional on this show, it's just us two chaps talking. Of course, the chat are listening in. The friends of the show. Creative leaders. That they won't tell. How many times have you been, Chris? Don't tell them why.
I've only been 4 times.
4 times
in 2 months, which isn't that bad.
Was that 4 times as an 8 when you did that?
Yeah, I've only been twice.
Only been twice. We hear you, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife's listening, always listening. No, well, I mean, she came with me.
So her antennas are always working then. Her antennas are always working. Oh, my gosh.
She's a big fan of the margarita pizza. So we go there, she gets the margarita, I get the buffalo chicken, and we are, 2 happy ducks.
Oh, tell you what, how many toppings do you get with the margaritas? At 3. We've heard tell of 4 and 5 layers of cheese.
Oh, no, she's simple. She wants just the very minimum amount, like the very basic margarita. So you got your mozzarella, you got your basil, you got your just tomatoes. That's it. Okay. That's all she wants. Very basic margarita pizza. I probably would like the works on it,
Yeah.
but that's why I get my buffalo chicken.
Right then, buffalo chicken. Yeah, we've heard tell of that. We might have a little go. You know what? We might have to actually fly to the Americas one day. We don't know
I'd
why,
recommend it.
but just what is it? A puddle and a pebble. I mean, how hard can that be? I mean, it's like a double dare, isn't it? There's talking about it, and there's actually doing it. And double dares and Azrael. Just saying. Just saying. Who knows where Azrael might be on Thursday or Friday? To full time and space. Little consequence to us. Now, number 8. Where can they find more info? We've got a few places here. Where do we go to find out more about Refuge? We've backed it. Had to. What about other people? Where can you get it?
I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, we thankfully BentBox Comics is not taken anywhere, so it was completely available. That means if you go on any social media anywhere, YouTube, Instagram, X, Blue Sky, even Threads, everywhere, just type in BentBox Comics and you'll find us. So that's the nice thing about that. Obviously, we have an online store, bentboxcomics.com. You can buy all our physical copies there. And then, if you go to that link down on the screen as you see it, or obviously just type in, go to Kickstarter, type in Refuge, you'll see it should be probably the top one, maybe the second one. But yeah, go back and I appreciate it. So, I mean, my call to action is that I think we have 9 days left and we are only at 25%. So we have a long way to go, basically, in 9 days. It's been a very bumpy campaign. So we're trying to get the word out there, trying to help it get funded. But there's hope. But we need help.
And that's what it's all about, Chris O'Hara. You see these shows, folks. It's all about hope. Let go of the shadows of the past. Let go of despair. Let light in and let light live. Let the soul of light heal your path going forwards. Yeah, we can do this together. We don't have to be alone. Yeah, open our hearts to the universe, just like that, which we learned during the Darkness Wars itself. And let's help Chris O'Hara get there. Indie Comics promos at the 5 Pillars of Storytelling, Sunday, Wednesday, Friday. That's 3 chances of the bat. Thursday, we do Art Portfolio Day. Yeah, we actually tell one work for hire creator. That person knows who they are. A creative leader. We brought it forward today to help that creative work for hire get a boost in their work for hire opportunities. Yes. Why do we do this? Because we can. We must. By way of guiding star, it is our inviolate calling. We must obey. So, 3 chances plus the Art Thursday. That's 4 opportunities. Follower or creative leader Friday or Saturday. That's 5 opportunities, Chris O'Hara. We shall put also in the late evening, Midnight Love, Comics Big Love, 16 hours at the wheel before we post again for our American audience. 16 hours free in front of almost 3,000 creative leaders.
Awesome.
There is opportunity there to force the magnitude. Yeah. And let us be our passion. Let us be our courage. Let us have our conviction. Yes. Believe. Yeah. We want to get this guy funded. And it will be our mortal duty for that to be so. Right then, we have come to that moment in time. Oh, what we've got here. Wait a minute. Before we get to say goodbye, looking forward to this. We always like it where you get last minute comments that we get to respond to them. Hopefully not while the music's playing, because then you're chasing the actual comments. You've got to type it all in at the last minute. And then you think, got to hit the end of the stream post. So people can't hear you muttering when you're thinking, what did I just type there? So yes, we have got Diva actually never works. Oh yeah, right on. We know that. We try to be very calm, cool, calm, collected on this show. And we're so good to put that comment up at the moment. We did. And here we go. Satan bless James Gandolfini. Well, I tell you what. We say cubes and hexagons. That's what we say. Hard to see in plain view, but they are there. Yes. Let light guide our way and heal us from the shadows of the past. Let us be our manifest destiny. Right then. Thank you for being our special guest, Chris O'Hara. We wish you well and Godspeed to BentBox Comics. We have a feeling that this indie comic will be funded.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me. It's been fun.
You've been a
I
worthy
appreciate it.
guest. No, we appreciate having you on the show. Is there any last words or any shout outs to any of your team, your select team at BentBox that perhaps didn't quite get a shout out? Come on, give it some love.
Well, I mean, we have a ton of stuff going on all the time. I would highly recommend going and checking out us on Global Comics. You'll see a bunch of free stuff there, including Artificial is now free on Global Comics. That way you can just check everything out digitally. You can be anywhere in the world and read some really cool BentBox comics. But yeah, Orium #2, like you said, is coming out soon. We got Wingless #2 coming out soon. We got, let me think. We got Our Monsters Volume 2 coming out soon. We got a bunch of stuff. And then obviously my book Refuge, hopefully will be coming out soon. Thanks to all of your help.
Oh, that's lovely. That's what we like. That's what we like. A bit of love. We just put a comment in the chat. Excellent. We say thanks to the chat tonight. Thanks to Bianca for your wit, charm, and leading the chat. And we'd like to say thanks to Tim and John as well. Thanks to Tim and John. God bless you both. Good on you both, Tim and John. We like a bit of chat love. We certainly do. We certainly do. Right, Joe, let's play that music. It's an outro. We say thank you again. We enjoyed having you as a guest. And we're going to say, here is the outro music. We hope. Here we go. Let's do it. Thanks again. Pleasure. Time with you.
Thank you.